Hi Hemanshu, welcome on board for the series of interview we are doing for Automation Edge for employee branding, and I'm really glad to take your interview.
Thank you.
So, how are you?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm good too. How are you doing?
Good. Enjoying the work.
Okay. So, can we start?
Yes, we can.
So, my first question is, how did you started your career in Automation Edge?
Okay. So, AutomationEdge is my first organization. I got placed here directly. And there is a funny anecdote regarding that. I think I had a couple more, I won't say offers, but I had cleared the interview, just the HR round was pending, and AutomationEdge was one of the organizations. And amongst the two or three offers, or I would say potential offers that I had, AutomationEdge was probably one of the smaller organizations. But in retrospect, it has turned out to be a really good decision because the career growth has been really good. There has been a lot of exposure and I could learn a lot. So it has been a good start and that start has sustained really.
So, what was that interested you in about Automation Edge, and what was your perspective while joining the automation?
Okay, so I think it was a bit about being a smaller fish in a larger pond or being a larger fish in a smaller pond. I think automation is gave me the best of both worlds where it allowed me to grow both individually and professionally along with the explosive growth of the company. And I think what excited me was this being a product company, it had its unique set of challenges and a really challenging atmosphere to learn and grow, which is I think which was my primary point of focus when I joined automation.
What was your first impression about Automation Edge?
I started answering. Okay, so my first impression about AutomationEdge was it is a tight-knit group. It is more like a family than a hierarchical organization. So the hierarchy is pretty flat, right? So it's not like you have too many layers and then you cannot talk with people or high-level stakeholders. That was one of the things. And second thing is we have always had this open door policy, which is really important. So even when I was in the starting stages of my career, if I wanted to talk with Uday, who is our CEO, I didn't have to jump through hoops and then talk to many people, take approvals. It was just like I want to talk to Uday, check if Uday is free, knock his door and talk to him. So I think these two things sort of give the confidence that the company will help me if I ever need it and that it's an approachable organization.
So COVID happened, and because everything was moving smooth, and COVID hit it, and it was very hard. We were all working from home. So, what was your experience post COVID and pre COVID, and working during the COVID?
Right. So I think pre-COVID, I think it was pretty normal. You used to come here, meet friends. As I said, it's more like a family. So you meet your friends, you work with them, you collaborate. And I think for a product company, it is extremely crucial that you do whiteboarding, you thrash your ideas, you sit together, you brainstorm. And then, as you said, COVID happened. A lot of things happened. I was one of the patients of COVID in the second wave, which was really, really bad. And I think what we learned is we could anyways function. There were challenges which we overcame. Work hours increased a lot, not because the company demanded it, because let's say something which I can discuss with you in a room and close in half an hour, maybe virtually it took 1 hour, 1.5 hours, right? So it was a bit stressful. But being a product manager, I can more or less authoritatively say that we did really well in that period. We introduced 3 new products, we introduced a lot of releases. So it was a good time. Of course, a lot of people lost their time, so I don't want to put it on a very generic level. But for the organization and for the product in general, we did really well. So coming to post-COVID, I think it's a bit about getting adjusted to it. I'm still wearing a mask. And I think people know me as the guy with the mask because I'm probably the only one who wears it yet. But I think it has been fun. We are slowly but surely regrouping, rearranging. But one thing is for sure, I think that compulsion, although we never had that as AutomationEdge, the compulsion to come to office is not there anymore, right? So as long as I'm delivering, my team is delivering, we can work from home. If we can collaborate, then why not? And I think one of the best things that has happened to AutomationEdge post-COVID is that the management has respected that fact. So, like most of the organizations today have mandated coming back to office or probably 50% office, 70% office. We are still saying as long as you are delivering, You can work, we are not forcing you. If we need you, come to office, but there is no force. So I think that is a good thing that has happened. That's helping the organization.
Yeah. Even I am the one who's working from home.
Right.
And I have given that authority that if you are delivering it, you can work from home. If we call you in the office, you don't have to work on that piece. You just have to meet people. So that value has added in my life as well.
Absolutely.
So my next question would be like, what would be the most valued advice you would like to give someone who's starting their career in product management?
I think product management is a lot about having keen interest in research, right? So you need to go on digging it, as some people like to call it, and obviously this is not my personal thought, but general industry perception is product management is like an onion, right? You peel and then there are still more layers after the layer that you have peeled. So A, you need to have keen interest in research, that is very critical. And B, you need to be willing to work hard after hours. It's not a 9 to 6 job. In fact, I would say it's an overtime job because you have to keep up with what the competition is doing, you have to keep up with new technology trends, you have to keep up with what is happening with the product, and more or less you are acting like a bridge between different teams. So I think primarily having keen interest in research and be having interest to or having a willingness to work extra is definitely what I would advise newer each generation.
So work-life balance is very important.
Absolutely.
So how do you manage your work-life balance?
So I just said that as a product manager, unfortunately, that it's not a 9 to 6 job, right? But when we are talking about this post-COVID thing and how it has affected, one of the things we discussed is freedom that the organization has given. So it not only does it apply to maybe coming to office or not, but it also gives me flexibility in terms of work hours, right? So if I know I'm going to be working till let's say 10 p.m., I have a call with a US client, I know I'm going to be working till 10, 11. So I have a freedom to let's say start at 10, 11 or probably even noon in that same day, morning or noon same day. So it sort of allows me to spend that time with my family, right? So it's morning, I can go out, I can get daily chores done, I can spend some time with my kids. So I have that flexibility of work hours, and I think that is my primary key of using that spare time as work-life balance. But I think as product manager or in general anyone who is in this field, it's difficult to say I'll do a 9 to 6 job. But whenever you get time, you relish it, you spend it with your family, you spend it doing things you like, and that will give you the work-life balance.
Top 3 skills which is required to be a good product manager.
So I think again boils down to research aptitude, requirement understanding, and communication.
Okay. So let's go back to the conventional question which I wanted to ask you. Do you think bots can replace or substitute the human workforce?
No, they cannot. And that's a really good question. So I think we had this concern in late 90s, early 2000s when I believe computing was introduced in banking sector, and that time people were scared, oh, so many people are going to lose jobs. That did not happen. I think big companies in fact had training programs on computers for bank professionals, right? So a bot cannot replace humans purely because of the fact that its intelligence is limited, despite being AI enabled, and it doesn't have empathy and sympathy, right? So a bot can assist you, it can make your life better, but it won't replace you for sure. So one of the clients, I won't name the client, but one of the large life insurance organizations, they had this team doing data entry of almost 25-30 folks who used to do data entry almost 9 to 10 hours a day or 12 hours a day, and it was mind-boggling, right? Imagine coming in and out, all you're doing is entering data. It deteriorates your quality of life, you get bored. Since we put bots in that organization, these guys are doing something else, and some of them have approached us and told us, thank you for making our lives better. We are doing something meaningful, and we sort of got out of that Excel and the core application data entry. So bots actually help in most of the cases. Some mundane jobs the bot would take over, but I think that more or less gives the people to do better things rather than discarding them or laying them off. That's my thought process.
So obviously you are managing our products in AutomationEdge,
Yeah.
but you are managing your own team also.
Yeah.
So how do you cope? Like how do you keep people around you happy, and what is your team mantra?
Okay. So I believe my team mantra is stop when you need to, right? Because and again, Automation Edge is an organization. We are more open about giving feedback, taking feedback rather than saying we will talk at the time of appraisals, right? It's more about being open. And I think that is my mantra: communicate, be open, don't keep anything in your mind so that it avoids misinterpretations, misunderstanding. And second thing is, I think the second mantra that I have is you are free in terms of your time, in terms of what you do, but you deliver and you deliver in quality, right? So just because I tell you to deliver something does not mean you do something haphazardly and get done in an hour if it is going to take a few. But if you are taking whatever time and delivering quality content, that's good enough for me. And then I like to take team on an occasional team lunch or team dinner. That definitely helps. It's good bonding. And I think all of us like to connect on personal level also. So all of them have my number, and I think most of us in AutomationEdge follow that.
Yes.
When we say you need something, you give me a call. There's no need to approach through Teams or email messages. So I think that personal connect definitely helps, and as long as they have the freedom and the delivery, the team runs.
A part of automation since a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, you must have your own ups and downs.
Yeah.
So who was the person who have come forward to help you and helped you when the times were not good with you?
So I think that won't be one person, to be very honest. Few, maybe at least 3-4 I would like to maybe talk about. So I started my career with Rukadikar in AutomationEdge, and he is now a really good friend. I mean, of course, he holds his
personality as well.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's probably keeping his position and his brilliance agnostic, right? He's a very down-to-earth person. He has been a mentor for a very long time. Despite being CTO, he's very friendly, he talks with folks and everything. So I think he's also become a very fast friend. And apart from that, I think people like Mahesh Bharti, Ankita Nair, Tejas Shah, just to name a few, right? These people have been with me through thick and thin for so many years. So as you said, there have definitely been some downs, of course, up. So these are the first people I would be happy to share good news with. I'll be happy to celebrate with. But also, whenever I have needed any help, I think these were the first folks who came forward. They were with me, they supported me in tough times. So it's not one person, and I think there are many. I probably cannot name all of them, but these 4 folks are probably the people who have had maximum positive impact in me since I joined. Right? And one thing that probably I would like to add here is even with Uday Prasad, obviously it's difficult to call them friends. They are more like mentors, elder brother, whatever you like to call them. But their availability and their reaching out and approachability has always been very helpful, right? And that also helps in ups and downs. So when I was down with COVID, and it was like not so good time, obviously, and then it was, I would say, medium serious, not too serious. I think Uday, despite of all of his schedules, spoke with me regularly, right? He used to either send a message, used to call me. And imagine a CEO who is responsible for so many companies, so many products and everything calling you. Prasad used to message me regularly. They're constantly talking to me, giving me that assurance, giving me that faith. So I think apart from these 4 people who are now, let's say, they are my lifetime connections. Even Uday Prasad have had a very big impact in terms of my career and personal growth when it comes to automation.
3 words for your journey in automation.
I believe exciting, curious, and roller coaster, if that's a word. Yes. Yeah.
That's a new word you created.
I believe so.
So this was the last question actually, Hemanshu, but I have planned some rapid fire fun questions for you, which I would like you to answer very rapidly.
I will try.
Okay. So my first question is, if a zombie attack happens in AutomationEdge, so who would be 3 person you will take in your team?
Yogesh Tikkar, Mahesh Bharti, Ankita.
Okay. So if a movie has to be made on your life, what would be the genre and who would you like to play your character?
My God. I really have not kept up with stars these days, so I cannot answer that. But the genre would probably be comedy, humor, and satire.
And who?
I
No
really
one,
don't know.
none.
None, nahi. I don't know. Probably. I think.
Or else you will play yourself.
Hey, we don't want the movie to time, so let some good actor play it.
At what age do you want to retire as a professor?
Okay, rather than what age, I would say when I have enough money. Yeah.
So has that happened?
Not yet. Hopefully in foreseeable future.
And do you have any post retirement plan?
I would like to travel a lot with my wife and hopefully my kids and see different cultures and learn different languages.
Which superhero character do you relate to?
I know.
Iron Man.
Yeah.
And why?
I think his fascination with technology and reliance on technology is something I closely relate to. So that's all.
He has his own version of Alexa. Do
I
you
know.
want that?
I would love to have Jarvis here. Jarvis is fantastic.
Yeah.
And Jarvis would really help ease out my life here for sure.
Yeah. Describe your team in one word.
Multi-talented.
Multi-talented. Okay. Who is your R engine in automation?
You wish.
Maybe. Okay. Describe one word. Describe AutomationEdge in one.
Fantastic.
So thank you so much, Hemanshu, for coming and giving your time. It was my pleasure to take your interview. It was my first time to even meet you, but it didn't felt like I have been meeting you first time. So thank you so much for giving your time and doing this interview with us.
It was a pleasure and thank you for listening.
Yeah, thank you.